The world is a wondrous and confusing place. The advancement of science and history and expansion of our knowledge of the Earth gives us a more comprehensive view of our world than ever before. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at mysterious discoveries. Ancient settlement uncovered in Egypt. Finding amazing historical artifacts is not a rare occurrence for Egypt, but archaeologists in the region have recently uncovered something momentous even by Egyptian standards in the form of a 2,300-year-old settlement. The settlement was uncovered in Alexandria and dates back to the 2nd century BC. Although the remains were only recently found and still have to be thoroughly studied, initial analysis appears as though the buried remains will be a veritable treasure trove for Egyptologists. Preliminary findings suggest that the region served as a residential and commercial hub, with an organized main road and branching adjacent streets. The streets were also connected by a well-organized sewage network and plumbing of sorts, in the form of several wells and water cisterns carved into the rock and crisscrossing throughout the settlement. It appears to have been in use for a period of approximately 600 to 700 years, spanning the late Ptolemaic period and entering the middle of Roman rule. Experts immediately claimed that, upon initial inspection, it seemed that the area that has been unearthed thus far acted as a city centre and contained a likely bustling market and workshops, as well as votive and sculpture shops. Artifacts found around the area stand to give archaeologists even more information about what life was like in the settlement, as well as who might have lived and worked in the well-designed streets all those centuries ago. Among the artifacts are over 700 ancient coins, as well as an alabaster statue, amulets, and an amphorae, a characteristic Roman style of jar. Archaeologists and Egyptologists alike count discoveries of this nature increasingly valuable, as most information about how the ancient people lived and worked only survives through the archaeological record, especially when it comes to learning about those ordinary citizens who were not prominent enough to have surviving written records featuring them. Especially noteworthy is the potential to learn about the lives of the common tradesmen in the settlement who walked the well-worn streets through the centuries as the city left one historical age and entered another. This transition and its effects on the economy and working class likely survives in some form hidden in the archaeological record of the settlement. However, for now, answers are still forthcoming as researchers carefully dig through the ancient remains, diligently cataloguing each artifact discovered for further study. Only time will tell what information this incredible discovery will unveil in the future, and what it could mean for our understanding of history in the Egyptian region. Gold lotus flower pendant from Queen Nefertiti's time found in Cyprus. Queen Nefertiti was a queen of the 18th dynasty in ancient Egypt, wife to Pharaoh Akhenaten. She and her husband are best known for their religious revolution, as they practice monotheism, worshipping only one god, Aten, or the sun disk. Some believe Queen Nefertiti ruled alone as a sole female leader before Tutankhamun took power. Her bust, displayed in the Berlin News Museum, is one of the most replicated pieces of art from within ancient Egypt. In Cyprus, a lotus flower pendant studded with precious gems was found back in 2018, and it's been likened to one worn by Queen Nefertiti. It was found within a series of tombs and is one of hundreds of precious items that had been buried with people's remains. These were found across the Mediterranean and include ceramics, jewellery, and gemstones. It was a team of archaeologists from the new Swedish Cyprus expedition who managed to locate and look into these two tombs, dated back to the Bronze Age. The pair were found in underground chambers in Halas Sultan Tek. The findings did not stop at two tombs. The team also uncovered a grand total of 155 human remains and more than 500 goods buried with them as part of the funeral practices. These precious possessions were stacked on top of the tombs in layers. Professionals say this indicates that the same chambers were used over multiple generations. Excavation leader Peter Fischer, a professor of historical studies at the University of Gothenburg in Sweden, explained that the evidence points to these being family tombs reserved for the elite ruling class. He cites this by saying that the skeleton of a 5-year-old girl was found to be buried alongside a gold necklace, gold earrings, and a gold tiara, indicating her family was powerful and wealthy. The keepsakes buried with the deceased can tell us a lot about the cultures in which they came from. For example, what or who do various vessels depict, and what materials have been used. Gold, silver, bronze, and ivory were all present in this discovery. Fisher singled out a ceramic bull that had been found, saying the body of this hollow bull has 2 openings, one on the back to fill it with a liquid, likely wine, and one at the nose to drink from. Apparently, they had feasts in the chamber to honor their dead. The goods that were included in the burials did not just reflect the culture from ancient Egypt. There were also distinctive gemstones from India, Afghanistan, and areas around the Baltic Sea found, namely red carnelian, blue lapis lazuli, and amber respectively. These are reflective of the huge trade networks in place at the time, as these communities and areas would often communicate in trade. The team managed to date the jewellery back to the ancient Egyptian era by comparing this jewellery with that of the time. One member of the archaeological team said Nefertiti wore similar jewellery. The tombs themselves might seem to be the most exciting part of the discovery, though the information really comes from the artifacts within them. We can learn about trade routes, how different classes were treated, and the religious significance of many artifacts. The discovery is only just beginning. Did Kathleen Martinez find Cleopatra's lost tomb? Cleopatra is perhaps the most infamous Egyptian ruler. However, contrary to popular belief, she was not actually Egyptian. In fact, she was Greek, but she ruled over the Ptolemaic kingdom of Egypt between 51 BC and 30 BC. She was the last ruler of Egypt whilst it was in the hands of the Ptolemaic Empire before the Romans stormed in and annexed it as part of the Great Roman Empire. Cleopatra has been immortalized in popular culture to this day. Films have been made about her life, masses of literature written, artwork painted, and sculptures sculpted. She is best known for her manipulative involvement in the Roman civil wars, wooing Mark Antony away from his friend Octavian's sister, as well as being romantically involved with Antony's friend Julius Caesar. Despite Cleopatra's affairs with both men, she was seen as a symbol of beauty and perfection in the ancient world. Despite her seductive nature, however, mysteries still surround the last queen of the Ptolemaic dynasty. One of these mysteries is where Cleopatra's tomb is situated. Like most of the Egyptian rulers, tombs give a fascinating insight into the life of the ruler, who they were related to, and how much esteem they were held in by their subjects. Cleopatra is thought to have been buried with Mark Antony. Various expeditions have set out to locate Cleopatra's tomb, and the most recent theory as to where she was buried has come from Dominican lawyer and diplomat Kathleen Martinez. She believes that Cleopatra could be buried in or underneath a temple near the town of Taposiris Magna. In the present day, the town is called Abu Sir and lies 28 miles west of Alexandria, where Queen Cleo and Mark Antony were said to have lived. Taposiris Magna was a bustling port in ancient Egypt, with vineyards famed for their rich wines. Whilst there is a possibility that Cleopatra may have been buried here, some believe that she may have actually requested a secret burial. The ancient Egyptians were spiritual people, and Cleopatra may have wished to be laid to rest where no one would disturb her eternal life together with Mark Antony. The problem is that Egyptian rulers were not known for being buried in temples. Temples were places of worship, and rulers tended to request to be buried in great tombs underneath the sandy plains of the Egyptian desert. However, when Kathleen Martinez and her team began excavating, they found a shaft that led to a great cavern underneath the desert, which appeared to have been decorated extensively. This, they believe, could be part of Cleopatra's tomb. Some academics believe that Cleopatra's tomb is harder to find because it may have actually been robbed hundreds of years ago. After all, rulers in ancient Egypt were buried elaborately, with selections of expensive materials that would aid them in the afterlife. Cleopatra's tomb would therefore likely have been a decent place for any thief to make a bit of money. Kathleen Martinez is far from finding any real evidence of Cleopatra being buried in the temple, and thus the mystery goes on. For how long? We do not know. The bones in Whale Valley are still a mystery. Our world has no shortage of strange and intriguing biological findings. Surely the first person to find a dinosaur fossil was equal parts thrilled and petrified. Even now, witnessing a strange or unusual fossil finding can cause the most modern, educated head to spin. Whale Valley is one of the strangest and most mysterious fossil sites in the world. Located in the deserts of western Egypt, Whale Valley is a genuine graveyard littered with hundreds of fossils, some of which are entire skeletal structures. Under the careful watch of expert scientists, many of these skeletons have been fully exhumed and put together, each of them telling a fascinating story. Unbelievably well preserved, these bones seem to represent a species frozen in time, Archaeoceti, or ancient whales with legs. As hard as it may be to imagine, these bones belong to some kind of ancient semi-aquatic mammal that most closely resembles a whale with legs. The deserted area of Whale Valley is an archaeological site filled with evidence of a species at a very specific time in their evolution, answering some questions while inspiring so many more. These remains seem to suggest that whales were once land animals that slowly morphed into oceanic animals, eventually evolving into the mammals we know of today. 40 million years ago, long before humans ever roamed the earth, lived four-legged whales that travelled both in and out of water. They were large, long creatures with sharp teeth, suggesting a carnivorous diet, a far cry from the lumbering, docile whales that fill our oceans today. They roamed the land and the sea, experiencing the world like few creatures get to do. But there are still so many unanswered questions. What necessitated the change from semi-aquatic to fully aquatic? What did the life of an amphibious, four-legged whale look like? Why is Western Egypt, once a vast sea, now a seemingly endless desert? The only way to find out is to keep looking, learning, and researching. We may never know all the details surrounding the skeletal structures preserved in Whale Valley, but if it can help us understand our world even a little bit better, it will all be worth it. Firm raises $15 million to bring woolly mammoth back from extinction. It is common knowledge that once an animal becomes extinct, it is gone forever from the face of the earth. However, although it might seem that the woolly mammoth, which went extinct 10,000 years ago, is one of the very last candidates to be able to return to Earth, an American firm has set out to change that fact. There are those within the scientific community who have long believed that it was within the realm of scientific possibility that the woolly mammoth could be brought back to life, but the funding and drive to see the project through had rarely been seriously discussed. Now, however, the bioscience and genetics company Colossal has put an astonishing $15 million behind the project. The company's founders are software entrepreneur Ben Lamb and Harvard Medical School geneticist George Church, and the pair hope that their research funding will create a mammoth-elephant hybrid. Church said that their goal with the project is to make a cold-resistant elephant, but it is going to look and behave like a mammoth. Not because we are trying to trick anybody, but because we want something that is functionally equivalent to the mammoth that will enjoy its time at -40 degrees Celsius and do all the things that elephants and mammoths do, in particular, knocking down trees. The team hopes to begin by creating laboratory-grown embryos with mammoth DNA, which will be carried by a surrogate mother or in an artificial womb, estimating that they could have their first hybrid mammoth baby born within 6 years. To create the hybrid embryo, the researchers involved in the project will combine skin cells from the endangered Asian elephants and versatile stem cells containing mammoth DNA that is responsible for coding mammoth hair, fat layers, and other cold weather adaptations. These mammoth genomes have been recovered from preserved mammoth specimens found in the permafrost that are loosely related to the Asian elephants. Colossal has framed the project as an effort to help conserve the endangered Asian elephants and give them the characteristics required in order to be able to survive and continue to reproduce in their mammoth steppe of the Arctic, known for its vast stretches of frigid temperatures and seemingly uninhabitable land. They also hope that reintroducing the animals can help restore habitat degradation and combat the climate crisis, but there are those who are vehemently against the idea and believe that the idea of totally reinventing the tundra using mammoth-elephant hybrids is beyond the realm of possibility. Some people are hesitant about the potential ramifications behind introducing a several-ton species into an already fragile environment, while there are also those who believe that the possibilities to alter this experiment for other endangered species could combat the mass extinctions being seen all over the globe. However, even in the case that all goes well, the introduction of the first ever woolly mammoth-elephant hybrid isn't due for several more years, so there is still time to wait and ponder the effects. But what do you make of these fascinating discoveries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.